Alright everyone, we now have Raul with a companion. Now we're gonna do his companion quest. We had some reading. Initiate Ranger Andy and Novak. Alright, so it's Novak and Dr. Ranger Andy. I'm pretty sure after him, I've completed all the companion quests, which will be nice, and then I can finally,
that tower on the strip, the one you can see for miles?
Ranger Andy.
Boy, you picked that takedown right up. I'm impressed. Must have had some prior training, huh?
What did you do, Andy?
Right now, a whole lot of sitting on my keister and counting cracks in the ceiling. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. On better days, I help keep the peace. Boone and Vargas watch the road. I watch the town. Tell myself I'm doing some good.
You're with the NCR, right?
Was with them. That was back when my arm and leg used to work better. I still like to pretend I'm a ranger, though. I'll check in with the guys up at the station pretty regular on the ham radio. Sometimes they stop by, tell me they're paying their respects, the smug bastards. They haven't been responding to me last couple days. I guess they got tired of hearing me talk, but it still got me a little worried. Hell, listen to me talk, like some damn mother hen.
What would it feel if I checked in NCR friends for you?
No. They're gonna think I'm having trouble letting go. They're good soldiers. I don't give them enough credit.
Same with the Rangers.
They're the NCR's finest. A one-man platoon, each of them. You got a job where even thinking about it would scare a man senseless? That's when you bring in the Rangers. And if you see a squad of veterans, guys who are in their black armor, well, you won't find a more beautiful sight.
Alright. Bye. Another question I'd like to ask you.
Questions, boss? You mean you don't know everything there is to know already?
Tell me about the house.
Just how old do you think I am, boss? Because I can pretty much guarantee I'm older than that. Let me tell you a story from before the Great War. Everybody knew Robert House. He was a genius, a superstar. Founded Robco at 22. Dated Hollywood starlets, the works. They say he saved Las Vegas. I was in Mexico City when the bombs dropped. Even from there, we could see House's defensive rockets shooting down the incoming missiles. Everybody assumed he died in the war. Maybe he did. But his robots are still out there roaming the waste. And now, a Mr. House rules New Vegas.
Alright, so reading more of this, I can... Yeah.
Any word on Station Charlie?
What do you do here?
Right.
Yep. Just under your leg. What happened? What'd you do? It's the NCR. Star Sounds.
Angry soldier robot.
Nothing else.
Any word on Station Charlie?
What'd you do? Sorry about the Ranger. Goodbye. Damn it. Alright. So it says I can also talk to Loyal. Oh, damn. Alright.
Hey, boss.
Oh,
Can I
there
ask
we
you
go.
something?
Sure.
What do you think of guys like Ranger Andy?
What do you mean?
I mean, guys who have a world of experience doing what they do, but have to give it up because they're getting old and slow or too injured.
After a crippling story, guys like Ranger and suffering is more dangerous than most men alive.
Maybe, yeah. I guess you got a point there.
We're not just talking about Ranger, are we?
Not really, boss. No. I grew up in a place called Hidalgo Ranch, just outside Mexico City. It wasn't much, just a bit of a farm, with a house for 3 generations of Tejadas. I wasn't the best behaved kid. I was quick with my hands, with a pistol or a wrench. And I wasn't afraid to get into fights over it. I never killed anybody. but I had my share of run-ins with the police. Mostly my family kept me in line. This was before the war. We were far enough away from Mexico City when the bombs fell that we missed the worst of it. But things got bad quick. Just a few days after Mexico City was vaporized, refugees started pouring down the road to our ranch. We helped who we could, but there were so many. Eventually, my father started turning people away before we ran out of food. Things got violent. My father and I got our guns, and we drove them off.
What happened then?
About 24 men came back in the night after we'd gone to sleep. They set fire to the ranch house and barred the doors from the outside. My whole family was trapped inside. I smelt the smoke, and I got myself and my little sister Rafaela out through a window. But everyone else, my parents, my grandmother, my 2 brothers, and 2 of my sisters, all died.
What happened then?
Rafaela and I ran. We were pursued by some of the men who attacked our home, but I was always a good shot. The ones who came after us, I killed. The rest, I left be. I had to take care of Rafaela, not throw my life away on revenge.
And you blame yourself for this? Can't think it was your fault. Norcus saying it gives a dirty arm man all alone.
I know that, boss. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just getting sentimental in my old age. Anyways, forget it. Just wanted that off my chest.
Alright, Loyal, where the hell are you? Right. Let's wait about 8 hours, and he'll show up in one of these. So let's see, after I do this, I'll go talk to Corporal Sterling at McCarran, and then he'll finish up his quest line. It'll be sweet. That's the only person that I have to worry. Loyal.
I'm amazed that an...
Isn't that bomber a beauty? Thanks so much for making an old man's dreams come true.
Goodbye.
outsider has proven so helpful.
That's a good thing to see,
Oh.
boss?
What?
That loyal guy. He's getting up there in years, but he still finds a way to make himself useful to his people. If you ask me, that's better than withering away all alone or holding on to some faded piece of glory from your past.
Well, it seems years and honest help his tribe think that's a noble goal.
Yeah? That's what I thought, too.
What's on your mind?
Old history, boss. After the fire, I knew my sister and I couldn't stay at Hidalgo Ranch anymore. The refugees still wanted me dead. They even put a bounty on me. I remember how scared Rafaela was. I told her if she came with me, we'd see the vaqueros. She used to love the rodeo, especially the trick riders. We figured maybe we could find help in Mexico City. We were young. We didn't know what had happened, really. We didn't understand about the bombs.
Oh, sweet. But wasn't Mexico basically annihilated in the Great War?
I don't think it was as hard hit as D.C. or Bakersfield, but it was bad enough. By the time we got there, the city was a radioactive ruin. Still, the city was full of looters, already forming into the beginnings of raider tribes. Crime was bad before the war, but now it was a nightmare. We were living like scavengers, scraping by on what little food we could find, always looking for medicine for my burns. And then, of course, the radiation started to kick in, turning me into this handsome devil you see before you.
Sound pretty bad.
You're a poet of understatement, boss. But there were moments it was almost worth it. I still remember finding that novelty costume shop. I was just looking around for something I could slice up to wrap my burns when I saw the vaquero outfit hanging on the rack, like it hadn't been touched. I took it, not like anybody else needed it, you know, and wore it back to our camp. Rafaela laughed, for the first time since the bombs had fallen.
Wasn't it dangerous to dress so noticeably?
It was. I started to build up a legend. Sometimes it headed off trouble, but most of the times it just started more. Young punks looking to prove themselves would come looking for me, but my eyes were sharp and my guns were quick. For a while, it seemed like we might even survive there, until Rafaela.
Go on.
She went out to find some food one day. I was sick, so I stayed at our camp. I guess it must have been the beginning of radiation poisoning. Anyway, it was supposed to be safe, but some raiders happened to pass through where she was scavenging. I won't speak of what they did to her. When I found her body, the only way to recognize her was this funny little scar on her knee from when she was a little girl.
It's terrible.
Terrible doesn't begin to cover it, boss. I led my whole family down. First the ranch, now Rafaela. I was the last Tejada. I guess maybe I went a little crazy then. I took my guns and went back to that market. I didn't have many bullets, but I had enough. After the raiders were dead, I salvaged what I could from the store. I was tired. I just wanted to be alone forever.
What'd you do?
I left Mexico City behind. I made my way out to the Gulf Coast. Eventually, I found an old Petro Chico refinery nobody had claimed. I stayed there for a little while, and I thought a lot about my life. I thought about the guns I'd lived by and what they'd gotten me. I decided my guns hadn't gotten me anything, and it was time to give it up. I took off the old vaquero outfit and put on a Petro Chico jumpsuit. The name tag said Miguel, so I started using the name myself. Eventually, I made it to Arizona. That's another story, boss.
Alright, now we go and talk to Corporal Sterling, which will be at... Since I completed the... where is it? Forlorn Hope. Camp Forlorn Hope. Yep, he has the last companion quest, and then I'll start the... We'll continue the Yes Man quest line.
Hello. Nice to see a friendly face.
It's a trade. You have... Goodbye. You have a case of 9mm. Casing. Thanks.
Yeesh, these soldiers look how I feel, boss.
They in here? Yep. Cheaper cost.
Howdy. Name's Sterling, First Recon. Can't say I've seen you before. I'd remember if I had.
You're right, we never met.
Got a good memory for faces, landmarks and such too. Comes with practice, that's all, and a lot of scouting from place to place.
Interesting rifle we have there. Lever action, right?
I call her the Long Carabine. Didn't always have the scope. I added that myself. Been shooting with her so long, couldn't bring myself to toss her away. Would have felt guilty to part with the old girl. The other snipers used bolt action, but Gorbets reckoned it didn't matter none if I was different, so long as I could hit my targets.
Seen anything suspicious around here?
As a matter of fact, it's funny that you'd ask. A couple nights back, I was on watch in the yard. Got myself a habit of looking all around, not just where I'd expect to find trouble. Old habit, but it saved my hide on occasion. Round about 1 in the morning, I spied some lights in the control tower. Now that's the 3rd time I've spied those lights, mind you. And every time I ask about it, they tell me the place was empty. I'm just saying, didn't look empty to me.
Thanks.
No trouble. That light is mighty consistent. Always there at 1 a.m. Might be worth a look.
How long you always been First Recon?
Used to be a ranger. One of the first they sent out east back before we took the dam. Observation and reconnaissance. We took the lay of the land, checked out the locals, and kept ourselves inconspicuous. A couple friends of mine were the first to scout the dam. That was back in '73, if I recall. A lot of those rangers are dead now. Vegas always chewed men up. It's just a little more literal nowadays.
Why'd you leave?
Well, that wasn't really a matter of choice. Got myself caught by legionaries up near Malpay. They had themselves some fun with me. Mangled my hands and feet pretty good. Wasn't much good with the pistol after that. Wasn't gonna be trekking across the waste on any more long scouts either.
How'd you manage to escape Malthus?
Caesar's boys figured I wasn't going anywhere after what they'd done to me, so they didn't bother tying me up. I crawled out of there on my elbows and knees. Must have looked a sight. Then I rolled down an embankment into the Colorado. Guess I had a mind to drown rather than give Caesar's boys the satisfaction of killing me. But a couple rangers happened to be watching from across the river. They jumped on in and pulled me out of there. Lucky break, they said.
How long you been stationed here?
Going on 6 months now, but I reckon we'll be moving out soon enough. Can't talk about the details. Till then, we'll man the towers and keep an eye on the fiends. We've had more than our share of trouble from their direction. Whole thing smells of Caesar to me. Of course, that's just guesswork. But I'd still bet a few caps he's stirring up the locals against us.
Alright. Goodbye.
Always.
Got a second to talk, boss?
Sure.
Meeting Corporal Sterling, well, it kind of got me thinking. Here's a guy that's been beat all to hell, right? I mean, he could have retired from the service, but instead he signs back on and does what he can. You think he did the right thing?
I think it's good he's still devoted to his duty. More people should act that way.
You think so, boss? Because I remember a time when a lot of people stuck to their duty no matter what. It ended with nuclear bombs falling on my hometown.
Talk about the Great War. What do you remember about it?
I left everything when I left Mexico. My home, my family, my name, even my face. I know it's surprising, boss, but I wasn't always just handsome. As far as the world knows, I was Miguel, and I was okay with that. I headed north for a while, and ended up in Tucson. Not Tucson, by the way. Things were good there. Well, maybe not good, but better than Mexico City anyways. I found myself a little shack, started fixing things.
Fixing things?
Oh, sure, boss. I was always good at fixing things. Some I fixed for the town, some I fixed for other people, some I fixed just for the hell of it. It's a better way to use your hands than killing. And even then, I wasn't getting any younger or faster. I lived there for a long time, kept to myself, didn't get into any fights. Hell, the only reason I even kept my guns oiled was professional pride.
Why'd you still there then?
Getting there, boss. I'd been in Tucson. The locals can call it Tucson all they want, but it's Tucson, damn it. About 75 years when she showed up. Prettiest thing you ever saw, boss. Maybe it was just a trick of my senile brain, but I swear she looked just like my Rafaela. Her name was Claudia. She ended up taking work at one of the brothels in town. I never went to her, of course. How could I? But I looked after her in my own way.
What happened with her?
This was a long time ago, before Caesar's Legion pacified Arizona and brought the raider tribes to heel. A tribe came into Tucson one day. More a gang, really. Dirty Dave and his 6 brothers. They were looking for bullets, and I sold some to them. I figured if I did that, they'd leave town before they tore it up too much.
But they didn't.
No, boss. No, they didn't. As I was saying, I hoped they'd leave the town in peace. Instead, they decided to stop at Claudia's brothel to take the edge off. I don't know which one of them got rowdy first, but by the time I heard the screams and got my guns, it was too late. They shot up the brothel, killed 4 girls, and taken Claudia for their sport.
Did you rescue her?
I went after Dave and his brothers. They had a head start, but they slept nights. I didn't. Took me 3 days to catch up to them. Claudia was dead when I got there. They put a bullet in each of her eyes. I couldn't do anything except avenge her, just like Rafaela. I charged into the middle of their camp and started firing. 2 of them were dead before they knew I was there. The other 5, though, they shot the shit out of me. I would have died, I think, if I wasn't so full of rage.
How'd you survive?
By being a meaner old cuss than the rest of them, boss. I wanted to keep living until they weren't. So I just kept shooting until they were all dead. I was in pretty bad shape in the end, though. I don't know how long I laid there, with the sun baking me and the buzzards chomping at me. Eventually, I got the strength to start moving. Some long time after that, I managed to drag my carcass back to town.
What happened then?
When I recovered, more or less anyways, I left Tucson and headed west. I ran into Tabitha at Black Mountain, and well, the rest you know. I swore I was done with the gunslinging life. I was too old, too slow, and too beat up to protect anyone anymore. I thought I was done forever, but after traveling with you, I realized I've always had my doubts.
Doubts about what?
About whether I still had what it took to carry my pistols proudly, to use them to do what's right. And now that I've been traveling with you for a while, you made me realize that I can still do that. Maybe I'm not as tough as I used to be, but my brains can make up for that. And my hands are still quick enough. It's time to put the guns back on.
I think it's a great idea, Rule. Hope you put them in good use with me.
You can bet on that, boss.
Old. Where's fire? Yep.
One of the ranger vets
Alright,
looked
then.
at me, and I just about surrendered.
Alright, sweet. That's Royal's quest done. Now let's head back to the fort.
Don't worry, boss. With my cataracts,
Hey, you. Got a 12 gauge or 20 gauge ammo?
Prim has... Someone finally put down that sick motor runner son of a bitch. Good riddance.
retribution.
Alright.
Pay for that.
Alright.
Get him, boss. I mean, if that fits with your schedule.
Alright.
Come on!
Come on!
Come on!
That is all of the fucking quests done.
Don't worry, boss. Yeah, boss. You always sort of look like the bad guys.
There we go. Sweet. Murderer.
security operations.
Yep.
Move along, please.
Let me think. So I did Jacobstown, the Kings, Mormon Fort. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's the tops. There's nothing going on there.
Your move, creep.
Yep. Alright, sweet. Let's go talk to Yes Man. Penthouse.
An entire army of...
Talk about the tribes. Pretty much failed to support me.
Really?
You heard us reply on the destroy strip, so I killed the conspirators.
Wow! That is amazing! You are just a hero! I am serious. That's 2 down, 3 to go.
Convince Great Khans to leave Mojave.
Maybe they'll be devoured by giant scorpions. All sorts of things could happen to them out there. That's 3 down, 2 to go.
I spoke to him, the White Globe Society had cannibalism problem, but I solved it.
A cannibalism problem? Really? I'm so glad you weren't eaten. That's 4 down, just 1 to go.
I know the Brotherhood, I want them left alone.
Okay, consider them forgotten, along with the projections that predict they'll be our biggest enemy. Forgotten! That accounts for all the tribes you needed to get to know. You did a super job wrapping things up, and I'm not just saying that because I have to. Here's some big news. I decoded a military radio transmission, and it turns out the NCR president, Aaron Kimball, is going to visit Hoover Dam. I guess he wants to boost the troops' morale, but according to projections Mr. House made, he has an 83.75% chance of being assassinated. Oops. Anyway, it looks like Mr. House thought it was important to keep President Kimball alive.
Why?
Mr. House ran projections on how the NCR public will react to a defeat at Hoover Dam. Overwhelmingly, they'll blame Kimball. But if Kimball dies at Hoover Dam, there's no obvious scapegoat for them to blame, so they'll blame New Vegas instead. So that means reduced tourism for up to 5 years. The equations are pretty complicated. Mr. House sure liked numbers.
I'm on good terms with the NCR, though. Let me help protect them.
Great. A ranger named Graham has been placed in charge of security for the president's visit. You'll want to talk to him. Once the president is safe, there's one more thing for you to take care of. This gadget I'm handing you is called an override module. Mr. House had 2 of these made years and years ago. Just like him to think ahead. Take the module to the El Dorado substation and attach it to the power control terminal. I'll handle the rest.
I'll be on my way. Alright, I'm gonna end the episode here. Next episode, we'll finish the game.
I'm hoping this is one of your good days.
Tune in next week for the finale.